Good afternoon. Today I am going to show a demo of our hours of service software that we have. But first, before we do that, let's talk about hours of service for a second. So what exactly is it? Well, the government put in place basically three rules that the companies need to abide by. The first one is a daily duty limit, where it states you, the driver, are allowed a period of 14 consecutive hours of duty time after being off duty for 10 or more hours. So it's a 14-hour duty limit, but as it relates to driving. So basically it just says, hey, if you've had a long work day, you can't drive, is basically what that limit is there for. It says that you need to take a 10-hour off-duty break. The second limit as it relates to driving is an 11-hour driving limit. So during the 14-hour duty limit, you are only allowed to drive your truck for up to 11 total hours. And then again, you have to take a consecutive 10-hour break. And then there's a weekly limit. This is the third one. There's a weekly limit, and that's put in place by the company. That's not, the company gets to choose whether they want to do a 60-hour, 7-day work week or a 70-hour, 8-day running work week. It's floating, so the current day is the newest time, and then 8 days it just drops off with every new day. So those are the trucker limits. There are also a passenger carrying rules and regulations, but they're pretty much the same, but they just slightly vary. There's only like a 1-hour difference, but that gives you a general idea. So I'm currently sharing my screen. I'm going to go ahead and go to the software. Okay, so I'm already signed in, but this would have taken you to a sign-in page where you would put in your username and password, and then it would bring you here. This is the main screen that you would see. On the left, you have all of these options over here. This is the little grid of options. The first one we are on here is dashboard. Dashboard shows you all these little widgets of data points that you would set up yourself. So you can come here, click add report, and I could say, I want to have a activity summary for today. And that gets added all the way down here at the bottom. So there's my activity summary that I just added. And then of course you can rearrange these. So I'm going to drag this up here to the top. Drag this with me up here. And then where do you go? Activity summary. And then I'm going to plop it right there, fill in that gap. And so that's how it works. So I have number of stops, watchdog, report, my basic driver behavior score. There's a more in-depth version, but this is the basic score. And then there's a weekly idle graph here. Just basic stuff that you can want to see at a glance. Things that you know, if you don't want to sign in here and then have to dig for data, this is nice because it gives you a quick glance. Next thing on our on the left here, we have map. Map shows you where all of your vehicles are on a big United States map. So you can this is real-time data. Now, if I want to see exactly where these people are, all I have to do is click. These are all my vehicles. Just click one of them. So I'm going to click this one. And there he is. He's parked. Took it a second to load because he was parked. Here's another one. So you can just click through these and see real time where your vehicles are. I don't have anyone on the road right now. So if I click here and then click the actual vehicle, I can click show trip. And that is going to show me what we call a breadcrumb trail. So I can see a little breadcrumb trail of where and where he came from and where he's going. The thing that's different with Spireon, the way that their refresh rate is different is every cornering, every 90-degree turn and cornering, this thing refreshes. So it gives you a near real-time view of where the driver went. So that's a great feature to have. Okay, so let's go back. We're going to go back to map. Another thing you can do with map is we can add a geofence. So let me see if I can find my other geofence that I had. I'm going to go here to zones. I'm going to show you one that I created before. Where the R is at. Here we go. Okay, and I'm going to click show on map. And then I'm going to click satellite. And here is my geofence, the Rockford job site. So you get a nice 3D view here, and real simple. All I did was click, 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 click. So I can show you. Add zone, click, 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 boom. And it brings me in here. I get to name the zone and do everything I want to do with it. And the reason that, what you would do with the zone is, so I have the zone now so I can reference it with rules. So I could say, I want to get notified when somebody leaves this zone. I want to get notified when somebody comes into this zone. Basic things like that. That's what these are here for. And you can set up as many of these things as you want. Okay, so we're going to go back to our grid of options. Next thing we're going to click is vehicles. So vehicles basically is just where you add and edit your vehicles, the ones that you currently have in your fleet. You would come here to edit them. Another thing to note here is that VIN numbers, since this is a plug-and-play solution, this is great. VIN numbers get preloaded, so you don't have to go in one by one and add these things. They are preloaded. Okay, next we're going to go to activity. You have a lot of options over here on activity. Risk management is the first one. Let's click in here. So risk management basically just helps you identify things in your fleet behavior that could cause an accident. And I'm going to click report. And this is going to show me basic data. I can see the average speed, distance, things that my drivers are doing, and attempt to try to curve their behavior if I see something that I don't like. The most important thing within this risk management tool here is that I can click my basic driver behavior scores. And this is going to pull up last week's for me. Okay. So here's the driver behavior scores. And the way that it works is it's like golf. So the higher the number, the worse it is. So these drivers want to end up with a 0 score. And the score is from 0 to 4. And based off of everything that they do, they get a point. So I want to end up with a 0. So if I scroll over here to the right, here's all the metrics: speeding, idling, after hours, and it consolidates everything into an easy score. All of my people over here are at a 2. So they're about the same combined points. These people are at a 0. But my average across everybody is a 2. So that's about average. Coincidentally, my average score is about average. At least it's not a 4, so 4 would be bad. But yeah, so this gives you a driver behavior score report. You can export this to PDF or Excel, and yeah, we can also click the safety driver scorecard. Give this a second to load. And this gives you the safety score. Company goal 98. So this is more of like a grade score. That's the other great thing with this is it doesn't have to be a hey, you're really bad. It's more of like a grade score, a grade school kind of thing. So hey, here's your number. We need to improve this. So it's a better conversation that you can have than hey, you need to fix your behavior. So you have the total occurrences, speeding, seatbelt, hard accelerations, pretty much all the data that you would want to see. Again, another report you can export to PDF or Excel. Speed profile is just a more broken down version of speeding. You could find speeding in a lot of different places. Let's see if truck 16 was speeding at all. Nope, so we have some speeding occurrences from him. These ones here. I can click this and it actually shows me where he did it and what happened. How fast he was going with the breadcrumb trail. It's in red because this was where violations were going on. All right, so next we're going to go to driver's congregation. This basically just gives you a report of when drivers are close by. We're going to select all, we're going to apply changes. It's going to take a second to load because there are a lot of drivers in this system. So give it a second. And there we go. And so I could see here that about 5 or 6 of my cars were congregating on March 31st. And it shows me the location, and then, which is one of the customer zones that I set up. So this is again referencing the zones, and that's what this driver congregation report uses. And also you can use standard addresses as you see right here. It's just a standard address that it picked up. 26 and 27, those two trucks were nearby that same location on April 1st. But that's pretty much what this is. So we're going to move on. We're going to go to work hours. Work hours is here just to simplify timekeeping because timekeeping is definitely a hassle. This is here to make that easier. So you see nice bits of data that could definitely help. You have the nice pie chart here. You can always change the view, so you can do it as a report. You can see if somebody was late and where they were. Because you could set up the work hours right here and set up the hours that you want your people to abide by. Next, we have IFTA reporting. Here's the IFTA reporting. You can see the vehicle, jurisdiction, enter time, enter odometer, exit odometer, and total. I'm going to change the view, and I'm going to click Advanced. You can see fuel used, fuel purchased. But itemizes everything perfectly for you in a report that you can, again, export. Okay, we're going to click View Accidents and Log Data. So this is basically here to help you in the event of an accident. So if there's an accident, you would come in here, and this is going to tell you 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after the accident. So that you can see the data that you need to see, like where the person was, how fast they were going, if they were not doing something or breaking a rule that you set in place. You could see that right here. So that can definitely come in handy. It's generating another report. Okay, took it a second again because I'm loading everything. I'm not loading one driver. And there you go. All right, so next we're going to go into hours of service. So duty status logs. This shows you the duty status logs for your hours of service drivers and vehicles. So I can actually come in here and I can see exactly what their duty status was for every day of the week. Every single day I can see minute for minute when they were off, when they were on, when they were sleeping, everything that's going on. Next thing we have of hours of service, we could do violations. So we could see who violated an hours of service rule that I mentioned at the beginning of this demo in a nice consolidated area. And here are the violations. So this person was over their weekly limit. This person was over their driving limit. This person was over their duty limit. Next thing we have in hours of service is availability. This is a great feature because if I'm a business and I get a phone call, hey, I have a job site for you. Well, I want to send somebody, but I don't want to violate hours of service. So I could come in here and see who's available and who is not. So I see this person is, this guy's not. He's in risk of violating, he's not. So I would send this guy or any one of these people. Okay, so that's pretty much it for hours of service. Now, while we're on hours of service, I just showed you what it looks like from the admin standpoint. I want to show you now what it looks like for the driver. This is what it looks like for the driver. Actually, let me go back. So this is a tablet screen. The driver would sign in, and this is the main screen that he's going to see. Now, if the driver is also has a co-driver with him, the co-driver, click Add Driver, and he can sign in as well. You could do up to 3 drivers on your co-driver sign-in. This is the main screen that the person sees. You have 3 options here. You have two-way messaging, DVIR, and HOS. The messaging, obviously, like I said, it's a two-way messaging. You could send a message to the admin. They can reply. So you could send a message here. It goes right in here to the admin portal. Okay. Hours of service. This is what the driver sees on hours of service. Now these are 4 big buttons. You have on duty, off duty, driving, and sleeper berth. This grid right here shows very clearly to the driver how much time he has left to drive. Over here, they've worded it in their own manner, but these are referring to the 3 rules, again, that I mentioned at the beginning of this demo. So cycle left is week. How much time they have in their work week. This guy has 68 hours left before he needs to take a break from driving. This is duty, workday. He's got his full 14 hours, and then he also has his full 11 hours. So this guy is good to go. He's good to hop in the truck and do what he needs to do. Another thing to note with this, so the driver can automatically select on duty and then driving, but the vehicle will do it by itself when the vehicle reaches 13 miles per hour. And then after it's stopped, the driver can click on or off duty, depending on what he's doing, because even though he's stopped, he could still be on duty. And then the vehicle will do that itself after 5 minutes if the driver forgets. Now, if the driver forgets to select anything, he can go in and make a note on what happened, and then it would go to the admin for approval. The driver cannot go into this tablet and edit any of his hours of service settings The admin can, the driver cannot. Here's the graph, which gives you a nice graph view of everything that was going on with the duty of status logs. And you can also see the logs like this as well. So different ways to view it. Let's go into DVIR. DVIR, this is the first thing you would see. So this is currently asking, do we want to inspect truck 29? Actually, let me just say that repairs were made on this for the purposes of demonstration. Okay, so it's asking me, do I want to inspect the actual truck or do I want to inspect the trailer? Let's inspect the truck. Okay, so I want to say everything looks good, no defects. Yes. Then the trailer, inspect. So this, you can see here when I click inspect, you can see that there was a previous inspection done that I need to certify. This is a pre-trip driver certification. I'm going to say I certify that. It saves it, and then I go into my new report. And again, I'm going to say everything's fine. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Let's jump back into the admin portal. We're going to go to engine and maintenance. This is where I would see any engine faults. Okay, pretty simple. Next, I'm going to do engine measurements. Once this finishes loading. And this is showing me some crucial data for the engine that could help me out. And then next is diagnostics. Give it a second to load. And there we go. Fuel usage. We can check fuel. You can use this tool to check fuel usage, which is definitely a nice feature. It's important to note with fuel usage, this is all by the vehicle. So it's per the plug-and-play solution, but it's per the vehicle as to whether or not this feature will work. Spireon can let you know which vehicles are compatible, which are not, but the fuel usage report is per the vehicle. If your vehicle is not compatible, it's important to note that we can also look at things like a fuel card solution to help report fuel usage. And here's the report. You can see fuel economy, distance, and the amount used. DVIR, here's the admin view of DVIR. You can see everything, all the inspections that the drivers did, all of these pre-trip. You can see the notes that they added. Click into it. His remark was batch, mirrors loose. And I can see everything there. Okay, we're going to skip on down to zones and messages. Zones are everything that I showed you as it relates to geofencing already. These are all of the geofences that we have created. You can also import zones, drag and drop. Customer visits show me which one of my vehicles, if any, were at any of my zones. So I could see that truck 16 was at the Eggleton trucking yard. I want to see where truck 22 was. Just select truck 22. I can see he was also at Eagleton trucking yard. Routes shows me if somebody took the best route, or I should say if they didn't. So these guys took the best route, so it's not giving me any activity. Messages, this is where you would see the two-way communication from the tablet. And they're currently adding a new version in. This is the way the new version will look when it's finished, but right now it's just this. The way that it currently is that you could see your sent and the received all in one place. I believe the new version is going to separate that for you. Rules and groups. So rules really should say alerts. Okay, this is where you set up alerts, not rules. Come in here, you could set up harsh braking, harsh accelerating, where you want to get notified and how. Harsh cornering, speeding, like I want to get notified every 20 miles per hour over. I can set that right here. You can set it up per G, right? So least sensitive, most sensitive. So if I really, don't want anyone cornering at all, I would come all the way over here and put it at most sensitive. Harsh accelerating, I'm going to say here in the middle. Harsh braking, again in the middle. Long lunch, fleet idling, idle times, I don't really care unless it's 30 minutes. Obviously it's up to you, but general rules, 30-minute idle wastes about a tank of gas. And then exceptions is the people who break my rules. So if I come in here, I can see what rules were broken. I'm going to apply changes, and it's going to pull all of these per rule, right? So my idling rule, I'm going to click into my idling rule. All of these people broke my idling rule. Come in here, harsh cornering. All of these people broke that rule, okay? So that's pretty much it. Thank you for tuning into this demo. Again, my name is Ian Oakes, the Solutions Engineer here at Sprint, and I hope you have a nice day.